Welcome. In front of me is a Nubia Redmagic 8S Pro, and today I'll show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this phone. So let's get started by opening up our settings, and we're going to begin by going into the display section. Here we have a bunch of different things that will allow us to customize our device. Starting off with the dark mode, I can turn it on permanently right here, or we can set it up on a schedule which will cycle between light and dark mode based on either selected time or just time of day. Now going back, we have things like the color mode. So this basically allows you to select the saturation level of your display. You have colorful, standard, soft. These change the image a little bit. The default one is the colorful, which is the most saturated. Soft will be the least saturated, which you can kind of see in the highlights on the sky, kind of pinkish, or also severely in the building. So you can clearly see the differences here. So if you find the colors to be a little bit too overdone, you could tone them down a little bit. Now going back, we also have the display size. This allows you to just customize the text size right here. And I'll stick with the default, that's what I prefer. Now moving a little bit further down, we have the screen refresh rate. So here we have a couple different options like the Auto, 60, 90 and 120. Obviously this display is capable of going at 120 Hz, though when doing this I do recommend selecting it on Auto if you want to have the smooth refresh rate of like 120, because Auto will basically utilize the 120 Hz when you're moving it like up and down. And the drop down to, I believe, something like 1 Hz. It is, if I remember correctly, an LTPO display, so it should drop to as low as like 1 or 10 frames, something like that, which will give you a decent battery life because of the reduced refresh rate. And obviously, if you want, you can select it to be at 90 or 60, which will still give you a decent battery life, though I'm not sure, I haven't checked if these modes do also alter the refresh rate if you're not doing anything on the screen. And while you're at it, you can also turn that off right here. By default it's enabled and it shows you the current refresh rate of your screen that you have selected, though it doesn't actually show the actual refresh rate right now, which makes it kind of useless. It just clutters your status bar. And talking about the status bar, we also can clean that up by going into the notifications and status bar. There we go. And here we have status bar icons. So as you can see, I have literally turned off everything in here. What it does is just allows you to hide all the icons that you'd have in your status bar for everything that is toggled on. So if you have Bluetooth on, Wi-Fi and so on, usually you just have that visible right here, but this allows you to get rid of this clutter. You probably know it's enabled, you probably have it permanently enabled, so it's no point having it visible right here and just making the status bar look cluttered as hell. So I personally like to basically toggle off almost everything. Now going back, is there anything else that I want to show in here? There we go. We have the enhanced display mode. This just adds a little bit more color, contrast and saturation to the display and brightness. It might not be as visible apart from just the brightness that is visible on the camera, but in terms of watching any kind of movies on the phone or TV shows, which obviously this phone is great at, it will make the image look better. So I recommend checking that on. Now next thing, we have the personalization settings, and here we can customize a lot of the different things of the device. So we have things like the app icons, just basically icon packs. We have wallpaper, that's kind of boring, animation, speed. So here you can change how fast transitions go between like pages. Obviously default is the default. You have slow and fast. Fast one will be just everything will be occurring faster, and I'm gonna change that to fast. Then we have things like fonts. Another thing that I like to change is the fingerprint. This is a gaming phone, though I don't necessarily like the gaming aesthetics of it too much, so I like to make things look a little bit less gamery. By default you have this enabled, which just looks a little bit, to me as a grown-ass man, just looks a little bit too overdone. So I would pick probably something that is the least like obnoxious looking. We have also always on display right here if that is something that you want to enable, and additionally we have colors, so any kind of thing like the accents like here, the blue ones, you can change that to something else. And you have a couple different options. You can also change the shape of these toggles right here along with these ones as well. So by default it's round, you can change it to squares or some other shapes. So obviously a section designed for straight up customizing your display as much as possible, which is really nice. And last thing that I'm going to just talk about is the actual gaming mode. Obviously it's a gaming phone, so it might be good in a lot of things, but obviously it's designed for gaming, so let's talk about that. Whenever you're launching your games, I do recommend doing it through the game mode itself, as it provides you with the best options for it. Now I don't think I have anything that I can show. Just actually launch something like a browser, doesn't really matter. Now when launching your games through the game mode, or whatever it's actually called, let flip. Where's the auto rotation? Oh, there we go. I guess it won't flip. So anyway, I'm just gonna do it on this kind of view, unfortunately. But in any game, you can just swipe from the sides. So if you're holding it, obviously in portrait mode, like I am right now, you just do it from left or right side. If you're holding it sideways, you do it from top and bottom. And this gives you access to a lot of different options while gaming. Now these options only apply to games when launching it through this kind of mode. Number one that will be enabled is the actual fan, which you can see the LED right here. Not exactly sure why we have the actual LED like inside. Okay, it's visible actually a little bit through here. I didn't actually realize that till now. So when fan is enabled, you do have the LED. You can hear it subtly. It is really quiet though, so no worries about that. And then we have a bunch of additional options, so you can actually turn off the fan if you want to, with things like info, which will display the frame rates of games that are running. Just bring that up. Then we have things like Wi-Fi, do not disturb modes, and all that stuff. You can access it in here. And additionally, we have, for instance, the modes right here. So by default, I believe this is the default, we are in a balance mode. We have also echo or raise. Raise is the more intensive mode for more demanding games. It boosts up the clocks. Echo will be the most power efficient mode. There is also another one which we can enable somewhere. Actually haven't done it myself yet, so I don't really know where to look for it. Oh, there we go. So this one is basically pushing the display all the way to the max, or not even to display everything. So you can see that right now the device is running at over 3 GHz on a CPU and over 700 megahertz on the GPU. So right now you're getting some serious power from this device, and it's probably going to be one of the not very many devices that can do this kind of thing, as it comes with active cooling. So obviously it's going to benefit it. Now it is going to obviously consume way more power on your device, so I would recommend only doing that when you're charging the device, which we do have also an option to top up the device while charging it, just to keep the phone on but not actually charge the battery. So you won't be degrading your battery life by just overcharging it constantly when gaming. You're just going to be delivering the power straight to the device and circumventing the battery, giving you a better battery longevity. So it will obviously, your battery will last longer, as in like over the years. So I highly recommend utilizing that, though to be honest I don't know where that is and exactly how it's called, so I do recommend oh no, never mind, I just found it. Charge bypass right here. So I haven't looked for it, just kind of I was checking it out. I know that it should have been somewhere here, and I did find it. So I highly recommend utilizing that if you tend to play for a longer period of time. This will obviously make it so once you unplug it, your battery can actually hold the charge after a couple of years. But with that being said, this would conclude the tweaks and tricks that I wanted to show you. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.